Hi there. Unfortunately, you have to see me again. Unfortunately, this week, while trying to use a slightly different method with recording video for our podcast, we encountered some issues which resulted in only two of us being shown in the video. And as a result, the entire video is essentially pretty poor to watch if I try and put it out. We're getting better every week, but unfortunately this week, the video will just be accompanied with a picture of our logo. From this week onwards, hopefully we can solve those issues going forwards, and you'll see a much better product. So, sorry, but in case you still prefer to listen to the NBA Beancast via YouTube, this is still up there, so enjoy.
Come dum, sunny dum. Yo, what up everyone? It is your boys from Melbourne, and we are back for yet another edition of the official NBA Beancast without the NBA. So we've got, now it's not quite a special edition because we are actually all in the same room for a change, but then we've got a few different topics to discuss today. So we've got Kendrick Perkins's recent comments.
That whole debacle.
That's a good, and our thoughts on the matter.
Yes.
Some general news regarding Premier League restarting again and our thoughts on that, the AFL, and Dennis Rodman's misadventures in North Korea.
Yes, that was a pretty big, a change, right? To, say, yeah, Premier League, AFL, and Pyongyang.
You got to slide it in there.
But obviously, to get things started, there's one thing that we always start with, and that's trivia. So, guys, just to, this will be a bit fun. I saw this a while back. There are 3 players in NBA history who have hit 10 straight threes in a game. 10 straight, as in not like they're the only person scoring, but 10 straight without missing. Can you name them?
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson is in fact one of them.
Steph Curry.
Not Steph Curry. The other 2, shall I tell you? There's not many hints I can give.
Jamal Crawford.
Are they current players?
One of them is half a current player and the other one is no longer.
Half a current player? How can you be half a current
You'll
player?
understand when you hear the name, I think.
Okay.
And the other one is no longer playing in the NBA.
What about...
Wouldn't be Ray Allen.
No.
Who had the 3-point record before Kobe broke it?
Donnell Marshall?
Yeah, Donnell Marshall? No, okay.
He's not there.
Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
No. Okay, so the last
Did
one...
Ray Allen ever make...
He did have
10 threes in a game, yeah.
Yeah.
Not many times. Yeah,
Okay, so
hold on.
before Clay...
Right, bro.
This was before Clay did 10, someone else did 10.
Yeah. It was in 2014. 2014.
All right.
Pretty Warriors.
I feel like if I give you the team, you'll get it right away.
No. Don't do that. We guessing.
So not JJ Redick.
10 threes a lot, man.
Kyle Korver
30
doesn't
points
shoot
right
enough.
there.
Kyle Korver doesn't shoot that
doesn't
many.
shoot
Yeah. A lot of 3 balls.
Is he known as a good shooter?
Yes.
Dame Lillard.
Not Dame.
Shit.
Was he? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, man. He'd eliminated Houston by then. Bye-bye.
It wouldn't be Kyrie.
No way.
This is a fun one, though.
Damn, in 2014. Can't be KD. He doesn't take it enough.
Definitely not Russell Westbrook because he's known as a good shooter. James Harden.
Previous teammate of James Harden.
Oh, baby.
Jimmy Softon.
Who was at Houston that early that could absolutely
former from
flamethrow?
2014?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. So he was
They were teammates in that year.
in OKC.
Kendrick
then.
Perkins. No.
For OKC, who could shoot them?
No. James Harden was
wasn't.
not in OKC.
Oh, sorry.
No. He was in
2014.
Houston.
Why am I-
He
Yeah,
was in
I'm
Houston.
bugging. Yeah, my bad. Houston that early. Chandler Parsons?
That's it.
Wow. I'm good at this, huh?
Chandler Parsons.
What?
There's one more.
How did I get
There's
that?
one more, and
I was
this
like-
happened.
I was thinking Eric Gordon. I forgot Chandler Parsons was good for a couple of years.
And this other one happened in 2011.
Brother.
2011.
Again, wouldn't have been Ray. He didn't shoot enough.
2011. What are some things that happened in 2011?
2011. Who was... All right.
They traded. No, that was the year before.
So wait, what was? Did you say a hint? What? No.
I said it happened in 2011. That's
Yeah, no.
The third one was in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's not Ray.
Who was a good shooter back then?
I would say
Are they known as a good shooter?
that's the thing. I don't
10 threes is a
think
lot.
they're known as a good shooter. They just
Oh.
like really, really got hot. Like when you think
Like a
of good
Corey Brewer 50-point game type
Not
situation.
Corey
Terrence
Brewer.
Ross.
not Corey Brewer level. People
Brandon Jennings. It was Brandon Jennings.
when people think of this guy, they think, yeah, he was a good player, but and what happened to him, kind of
Ooh.
thing.
And what happened
What,
to
Jared
him?
Jack?
No,
Well, that's a good guess.
Corey Maggette?
no.
Wait, hold up.
You're around the right.
Danny
time.
Granger.
Not Danny Granger.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good name, and that's a guy we want to talk about sometime.
2011. All right,
It's
give
not-
us the
It's not
conference.
Paul George.
Give us the
He
conference.
wasn't good then. He's never been
Conference. That would be the Western Conference.
Oh.
Western Conference.
Monte? He shot a
Not
lot.
Monte.
Oh, yeah, that was a
That
good
He
guess.
took a lot of shots.
Hey, we're putting up good guesses. They're just not going in.
It's not Brandon Jennings, right?
No.
No,
No, he couldn't have been. Western Conference in 2011. I'm thinking like,
yeah, Jennings was
I'm mainly
might
thinking of
remember
like
from
Bucks.
who was a good team then to get me to.
This guy
the
also
answer.
has the record for the most consecutive points scored in a single game.
Sure, it's not Jamal Crawford.
It's not Jamal Crawford.
It's not the Bean, is it?
It's not the Bean.
Sweet Lou. No, it can't be Lou Will.
No, I don't think it's Lou.
Shit. Most consecutive points in a row in a game
That's a crazy record.
in 2011.
Yeah.
Wait, did he set that record in
He said
2011?
that, it may have been in the same game,
Oh,
honestly.
shit. Who is it? That's,
It was
that's
maybe
crazy.
from the headline you might remember because it was against
Don't
the
give us the
Timberwolves.
headline, will give it away.
Nah, it was against the Timberwolves.
From the Western Conference.
So not a
Brandon Roy.
not Brandon Roy.
I don't know.
Wait, no,
Um,
we can get this, Bill. Come on.
Yeah, we can. I'm thinking hard here, man.
Have they been an all-star?
I would have to check, honestly.
Make 10 threes. Break a game record for most points in a row. I reckon you've made an all-star.
Corey Brewer's dropped 50, so is Terrence Ross.
This is very true.
Jason Tatum's never dropped 50. I don't think KD's dropped too many 50 balls either.
Who's made 10 threes without missing from the Western Conference? This is insanely hard. Why is this so hard?
I do
In
not.
2011?
Yeah.
I don't believe he's made it.
Who was making finals in
Um,
2011?
Oh, so he's never been an all-star.
No.
Matt, who was on the Mavs in 2011? Are
You
we
know-
on the right track? No. Fuck.
You're completely off
Nah.
track. But what I will give, if I give you, at this-
Steve, no, it wouldn't be Steve Nash
Alright.
because he said not regarded as great
okay,
shooter.
he's done AMAs on Reddit.
Gilbert Arenas.
No,
Oh. Meta.
no.
What?
You have to think a fair while back to
Come on,
2014.
man.
That was the AMA?
That was
2014 was the AMA.
yes.
So they've retired.
Not exactly retired. Let's say drank themselves out of the NBA.
Drank themselves.
Themselves out of the
What?
Dennis Rodman.
very, very long time ago, brother.
I don't know, Praddy. We need another hint.
Drank
this is
themselves
so
out of the league.
hard.
All right, I know when Prad says a name, I'm gonna be like shit.
DUIs.
Wait, what?
He got a
he
DUI
racked up a lot of DUIs. Oh, you got it?
No,
on the
it's
tip
not.
of
It's
the
not
tongue.
who I was thinking of. No, it's not. Who
All
I
right,
was
it
thinking.
is-
I was thinking of Gerald Green, but it's not
Ty
Gerald.
Lawson.
Oh,
Of course.
there you go.
Ty
Yeah,
Lawson.
he wasn't.
That's a name you just
Yeah.
don't care to think of
Exactly.
anymore.
Yeah, because he was not regarded as a great shooter.
No. But like people are like, oh, what happened to him? He was a pretty good player for the Nuggets.
Yeah, he was.
really has the record for most.
He was
points.
also a former Rocket.
That was good trivia, Praddy.
I yeah.
Rate it.
Thank you, Basketball Forever, for stealing that from someone else for me.
Yeah, that's how we get the trivia.
All right, so
Reddit.
Karan, you wanted to give some thoughts on the
Yeah, so as some of our listeners may know, the Premier League is among the other sporting leagues that have started now, and I think the way that they've gone about it has been quite interesting because it is quite clear that they do not give a single fuck, and they needed to get the games going again.
That's
a
facts.
lot of money. A lot of money.
There is a ridiculous amount of money in the EPL. It is by far the richest football league in the world. However, they are also not immune to the effects of no cash. So they had to get the games going again so that they could keep their broadcasting deals. And as some of you guys may know, Britain is still in the throes of the coronavirus. I think it wasn't the best time for a sporting league to start up again, especially when there's so many peripheral staff and stuff that are involved in the games. Like you've got
such a it's even more travel heavy than the NBA, right? It's not as frequent.
And it's a smaller country as well. But then the problem is you've got it's like the NBA where you've got like teams of people traveling around the country.
Yeah.
When really people should be sitting in one spot to mitigate the.
Would a hub or bubble sort of thing work for the EPL?
Nah, the home ground advantage is too much.
It's very difficult because, yeah, as Bill said, the home ground thing is huge in the Premier League, like it is in the NBA. But that's why they don't have the games all at Denver, for example.
There's sort of competitions in European soccer where like different sporting leagues play against each other, like opposing teams. And so a lot of the times how that works is they get a home leg and away leg. Yeah. And essentially if the scores...
This is how the Champions League and the Europa League.
So essentially if say you've had 2 games and the scores are tied after 2 games, so e.g. one team's won one game, the other team wins another game, and then the scores are tied as well, away goals are actually the next deciding factor. So they're worth more. They're worth more than home goals.
Okay, that's even.
Not in normal, not for the Premier League or anything, but just to give you a background, the away and home ground for soccer is quite a big deal, and that's why the Poms are a bit of a
and it's a
crazy bunch. I don't think
they're nuts.
Is it a bit about the teams as well, like the fans?
The fans can't show up to the game. So what the league is doing is they're
the fans can be in the city, throwing shit at the team buses.
Yeah, exactly. But then, it's just this whole. I think that these sporting leagues are being too hasty with restarting, and I think we've been talking about the AFL. AFL player recently.
I was just about to get into that.
Recently tested positive for coronavirus.
Whilst the season's
while the season's underway now, they played a game last week. That team, and this player had a lifting session with his teammates.
He didn't play, but the fact that his team played is still.
He had a lifting session with his teammates before the game.
Yeah.
It's
still very much present everywhere, and people just act like. It's not just sporting leagues, though. It's like a general culture, cultural feeling that people seem to be having that, like, we've beaten it.
It's weird. I feel like there's a lot of money saying we need to get started again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That really plays into it, and people are sort of bought into that or being told to buy into it.
Because, for example, the Premier League is one of the richest sporting leagues in the world. They've got sponsorships with...
everywhere.
Like if you're doing
brands,
football,
brands on brands.
Yeah, that's the place to be.
There's so many.
Welcome back to the Telstra opening show presented by Coke, brought to you by Ladders.
Yes,
it's like there's so many industries tied to sports as well, like gambling, alcohol, restaurants, travel.
Yeah,
gambling
everywhere.
Yeah, and
literally everywhere.
Like, have you been on Sportsbet recently?
No.
You see some pretty crazy.
You're allowed to
on
vote
now.
on ScoMo's next tie color.
Yeah,
quite intriguing.
Or as we just saw on what was it, Paddy Power?
Yes, we will be discussing the Dennis Rodman documentary momentarily.
So, for our non-Australian listeners or our listeners that might not be initiated on this, since there are no sports and we have several sports gambling platforms. The sports gambling platforms have decided to pivot over to politics. Yes. One of the things that you can bet on is the colour of the Australian Prime Minister's tie.
We recommend you do not do this, but it is an option. So
get your bag, mate. Get your bag and go.
Yes. Ryan Lowe, I encourage you to do this.
We now speak directly to you.
Only you.
But anyway, so the Premier League's back. Obviously, AFL's back. Not much else is back.
And Bill and I were discussing this in the car. You can kind of tell that everyone's very rusty. And we think that, I think that this is going to bleed over to how the NBA comes through as well.
Yes.
Like the Premier League, it's pretty clear that not all the players are, their fitness is not up to scratch. The game is a little bit slower than you're accustomed to. Players are making mistakes that you normally wouldn't see them make.
Yeah.
They're just not in the areas that they can usually make, for example. or they can't make the same runs that they could before the
especially late in games.
Yeah, and then in the AFL, the skills seem to have dropped off significantly.
Yeah.
Fitness is not exactly where it was
AFL for
before.
me just hasn't been a good spectacle so far this year. Like, number one, I understood the reason for the shortened quarters. Like, because for those who don't know, AFL's just one game basically every 7 days, just on the weekend, Friday to Sunday evening, just one game every week. So it's the recovery time's fairly good. Whereas this season, obviously with coronavirus, and then the delayed start, we got round 1 in, and then obviously the delayed start before round 2, there was discussion of playing, 3 or 4 games in a 3-week period or something along those lines to fit in the season, so to speak. So that obviously brought about the shorter quarters, which I think has not been good for the game. I think any sport in the world that becomes less in scoring is less appealing. So definitely brought that to the game. And then obviously the rust, I think, just sort of coming out of the blue and saying, the AFL's starting in, 4 weeks. This
Good
isn't,
luck.
it's not like a local sporting side on your Saturday afternoon where you only need to train twice a week. These are guys who generally have a 4 or 5 month preseason.
Yeah.
And then
that's quite rigorous.
And then they run for people that aren't aware, AFL players run 10 to 20 Ks every single game.
Yeah. The field is enormous.
And this is after, a solid 2 or 3 weeks of preseason. I could not imagine the NFL coming out tomorrow and saying the season starts in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
kind
Get
of
ready,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You used to have the NAB Cup before that.
Yeah.
Like, you literally had like a
Preseason competition.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Before round 1 for the AFL, it was we have it's essentially just called whatever the sponsor is for that year. So at the moment, it's the JLT.
Woo, capitalism.
couple of games, and then we had round 1, and round 1 was still normal rules, normal time length, everything. So that was, fine. Whereas now it's sort of come back probably a bit rushed and a bit prematurely. Now, obviously, there's the whole dilemma of a team having a player that's tested positive, and obviously all the, everything that comes along with it for Gil McLaughlin, who's the CEO. The chairman.
Yeah, because they have tested. They probably have tested positive before, or at least the management have to deal with them testing positive to other things. However, this time,
it's like what
other things.
It's like, what did management think? Okay, sure, these guys are elite athletes, but they're still human. They can still get the disease.
Yeah. It's like,
and they can still spread it.
One of the best stars in the game is like loves drugs as well. It's like, do you expect them to be responsible?
It's pretty, but for me, AFL's
saying
been
the reduced scoring really shows. I don't follow much, but usually it's not uncommon to see scores going above 100.
Scores are so high. That's like because like the first sort of game I ever watched was AFL. Like, I'm not a huge sports person, but going to other sports and being like, why is the score so low?
Why is it 3-1?
Yeah, it was like, this is AFL and this is soccer. And over this, good game, 0-1. I'm just like, what the fuck's going on?
And
I like
this
that.
weekend, no one scored over 100. No one scored over
it's-
80.
Yeah.
One team made of 80. It's nasty. Like, even
It's
Richmond,
essentially-
who's supposed to be the best team, scored 39 points.
Yeah, so
Second
like
time.
effectively they're playing like a whole quarter less compared to usual. And a lot of AFL games do sort of open up, as that's how we talk about it later in games, because obviously, as we mentioned, like the running capacity is quite high, but then obviously towards the end of the game, not everyone has that. So then a fair few teams do sort of play into that, where they will try and work harder throughout the early parts of the game to try and capitalize late. And obviously seeing less and less of that probably almost is easier for teams to defend, as well as having...
Yeah, because they just flood the back line.
We didn't even mention that, and they've extended the breaks between quarters. So in AFL now, I think they're up to 8 minutes at the end of a quarter, which is absurdly long.
That is a very long ad break.
Yeah, not ad break, sorry. Between quarters. Ad breaks.
Ad break. It's ad break.
That's multiple ad breaks.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, so it's sort of just...
Start like airing an episode of Home and Away between through the game.
So long. Like, I remember going there, but I saw the I think it was the Indigenous round one year. A mate took me from high school, and I'm just like, we start now? Fucking forever.
It might have been halftime. Quarter time's usually like you can run to the toilet and back, and you might get back. You might get back in time.
Halftime was long. Yeah.
Halftime, like you can go outside.
Yeah, it's like halftime's like what, 15, 20?
Yeah, it's a bit longer.
It is long.
But it feels like that now at every break, and I just feel like that when we're not seeing the best of like, especially the physically more fit guys, I feel like the ones that have worked harder to benefit more on field, we're not seeing that because now that, not that it's a level playing field, but it's just the way it is now.
There's less endurance involved.
Yeah, essentially. And like obviously with, you know, players being less fatigued, the essentially the systems that they're able to set up, especially for their defense, is why we're seeing less and less scoring. And it's for that reason.
Because now it's actually advantageous for teams to just flood the back line.
Yeah, well,
because they can't really get the run going forward.
Yeah, and I feel like the clock's a lot easier to manage. Like even though it's only 4 minutes less game time, it still feels a hell of a lot less.
Yeah, because that 4 minutes doesn't account for stoppages.
No.
Yeah. It's
But then there's one factor that we've got to consider when it comes to football leagues, which doesn't really play into like NBA or basketball, NBA or football, or AFL.
Yeah,
which is in European football, there's actually relegation. So so the teams at the bottom of the league go under into the lower leagues, and then like the best lower league teams come up. So this is why football was very keen to get the season started again. Because there's huge ramifications, financial ramifications for the teams that go under, because they like the TV deals that the lower leagues are signed to, obviously nowhere near as lucrative as the Premier League deals.
Yeah.
Or like the Bundesliga, like the German top league, or the Serie A leagues. So, yeah, this is why all these sporting leagues were really keen to get going again. And it's been a major consideration, because what if a team like, say, for example, Aston Villa, they're in like in and around relegation, or in and around the relegation zone.
Yeah, they're 19th.
Yeah. So what if they go under, even though the season hasn't finished?
Yeah, that's
what if they could have gone above?
Especially for the Premier League this year, like unfortunate as it is, like Liverpool are going to win the league.
Yeah, there's no question.
Like, so there's no stopping that. Like, I think it was something like every Premier League team said, like, yep, if the season's called off, we're happy for them to get crowned champions. Like, they're that far clear anyway. Like, the odds of them not winning are
very low.
Nearly negative probabilities. Whereas the teams who, like, are going to be relegated, the whole league was kind of like, no, because you do see a crazy fight, like, in the last few
it's crazy
match
like,
weeks. Yeah.
This is a football thing, right? So when you look at, like, because, you know, in basketball, when you look at a schedule, you can kind of tell which team is going to win based on where their placing is. Like, first seed versus the 30th seed.
Yeah.
Like, Warriors are going to destroy the 30th seed, for example. But then
the in
the Premier League, it's completely different. Like, if you've got Liverpool playing Norwich or Aston Villa, like the two bottom teams, those teams are going to be playing their asses off so that they don't finish in the relegation.
It's kind of like the opposite of the NBA, where the regular season, because it only is a regular season.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything just matters. Every single
game matters. Yeah. So what you get is, like, the relegation, the games against the relegation sides are probably even harder for the top teams to get through than, like, playing a mid-table team.
Yeah,
like
because they've got nothing to play for in the last. Well, Everton do at the moment, but
because Everton could play for European football.
Yeah, but a mid-tier, mid-table team. Sorry, like towards the end of the year, it's kind of like they're not really fighting for much. But yeah, the bottom tier teams is crazy, and then especially even as you said, the lower tier teams, the lower tier leagues. Sorry, they even have like a playoff series.
Yeah. So the team that wins that goes up into the Premier League.
So essentially, I know it's from the Championship 3 go up, obviously, but then their playoffs is like 1 to 8. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you got 8 teams.
And it's actually really fun to watch as well.
Yeah, like, it's mental. So
and then and then another aspect with international football leagues is the Champions League, which is the European competition. So this is where a lot of teams generate a significant amount of their revenue.
Yep.
So just qualifying for the Champions League, they get a bonus.
Right.
And then the further they make it in the league, they make more money.
Yeah, so like you guys might be familiar, like a few years ago, Leicester City pulled off like easily, in my opinion, like the greatest story in sports history, winning the league. But they made so obviously you make the Champions
It's like
League
a 1
as
in
well.
5,000 chance.
Yeah, they made the Champions League, and then the next year
they would story about they were about to go under or something like that, or
Pretty close, yeah.
kicked out. Yeah,
Jamie Vardy, mate. And so
So
essentially they win the league, and then the next year everyone's sort of thinking like, well, what are they going to do now?
Yeah,
they made the Champions League semi-finals.
Yeah, so they did well in the league, but in the Champions League was their main focus, and it was so obvious. And yeah, as Kaz said, they did really, really well, and
it was honestly amazing to watch.
And they've come a long way now. Like they're a fairly stable.
Yeah, they're doing well.
It's really hard. Like in the Premier League for like the last however knows many years, there's basically been 6 teams who are
heavy leagues.
Yeah,
so you've got 6 top teams
and
that are usually exactly. And Leicester were one of those, but they've got a chance to make it up now.
They weren't one, and now they're fighting to get.
I think I heard it on Hello Internet, and they were talking about how it was this story of like. Really like the underdogs, like they were.
Oh yeah,
it's the ultimate underdog story.
Imagine that, but for like the whole season, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nuts. And this team is playing on like a quarter of the budget of the big teams.
Yeah.
But then they've got top tier recruiting, top tier coaching. And they've got top tier development, which is why they do so well almost year in, year out.
If you're a Russian billionaire, you'd be very annoyed.
Their owner died in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, it was actually really
that's sad,
crazy, but
it's been so that's why I feel like the Premier League they've been very keen to restart because there's so much money in the game and there's so much incentive to finish the season. It's not quite like the NBA where you do have to crown the champions, but then like there's not as like a team isn't going to potentially be financially ruined.
I think it's about time for us to move on to the man who's keeping the NBA interesting. Kendrick Perkins has done a fantastic job.
Would you say interesting or just in the headline?
All right. Look, let me get this straight. As a Boston Celtics fan, Kendrick Perkins has never been as popular as he is right now.
Look,
since you signed the deal with Clutch Sports? When was that?
The NBA is a soap opera, and Kendrick Perkins is right now the main character because, I mean,
oh boy.
Look, in terms of the NBA bubble, it's been talked about enough, but to give a quick overview of the situation, Kyrie Irving comes out and says, he's uncomfortable to say the least with the NBA resuming during the Black Lives Matter protest.
I'm fully with Kyrie and a lot of those players who said that, like the NBA isn't as important as what they're fighting for.
I get where they're coming from.
At some point during his him being vocal about that, apparently he mentioned that he wanted to start his own league.
Which is stupid.
And in response, Kendrick Perkins called on Kyrie to actually follow through with what he said or shut up, comparing the situation to WNBA player Maya Moore, who stepped away from the competition, entirely to solve some injustice, which props to her. And then responding to an Instagram post of this, KD comes through with the
I love KD, man. I absolutely love KD.
And to finish, apparently finish the situation, KP tries to take the high road.
Hang on.
Hey. Kendrick Perkins is not KP.
I was just about to say, we ain't giving him the shortened name. There is no way.
I don't want to keep saying his name.
I don't care. We're doing it.
Can we call him Kipper? Like a fish?
Just call him
He's
Perkins.
the equivalent talent of a fish on
Kipper.
an NBA court.
He said he's cleansed his soul of the situation.
Oh my God.
Now, look, personally, I agree with Kyrie Irving to some extent. Like you guys said,
same.
People are trying to say that the NBA needs to come back because people need a distraction from what's going on now, and I completely disagree with that wholeheartedly.
So
people need to stay focused on what really needs to change.
What
right
really
now.
matters right now.
I just want to quickly say, I mean, this isn't the first time that the NBA has kowtowed to an oppressive regime either.
Well, no, that's
just
the thing.
fucking saying.
It's not the NBA kowtowing to it. Like
but if he's saying like
this is an NBA analyst with the biggest whatever marks these are on them, because he provides no actual analysis.
Kendrick Perkins is to analysis what Donald Trump is to presidency.
So the official.
Yes.
Okay.
Fake news.
The official.
Okay. So wait, is it the NBA who's like, let's get it doing again, or is it just this guy?
No, the NBA is coming back.
Okay, yeah, so they are kowtowing again. That's good.
Yeah, no, they are. They are.
At least
Florida.
they're consistent.
We've probably told you, but basically it's getting played in Florida, and the Florida coronavirus cases are skyrocketing as
There are a couple of YouTube channels, and I see them just going out all the time. They're all in Florida. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, thank you for keeping me entertained, but like, I am concerned for your safety for numerous reasons.
No. See, the problem with coronavirus is usually I just say, okay, Darwinism, right? But then you're getting other people sick.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not, as so many people were saying at the start, it's not just about you.
Exactly.
There's so many people who might be immunocompromised or just like suffering any other, disease.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're going to feel those effects so much worse.
America is so weird. Like,
How do you politicize wearing masks?
well, the thing is, it's because it's always like they've politicized the individual, right? So it's your individual right to do everything, right?
Yeah, freedom
They are
land.
like the most individualist country.
Freedom land.
But then why does your individual right to go outside your house supersede another individual's right to get sick? To not get sick, sorry.
live, yes.
Because people will be sooks.
Because freedom,
Yeah,
corrupt.
is it freedom or health? What's
Quite
more
simply.
important?
Freedom,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
They are freedom land.
But then they're free to not get sick.
Yeah, America's propaganda model is really weird.
Anyway, this is not a political.
No, sorry.
pod.
Sorry for that quick deviation.
But anyways, on Kyrie,
I agree with Kyrie's stance. So
yeah, because I do think that just like there is no doubt that there's not people who support the NBA that don't want it back. Like everyone wants the NBA back. We want to see the NBA best sport in the world. We love it. But then obviously as Kyrie said, like it is a distraction at the moment.
Yeah,
and I think it definitely is.
No, I actually agree. I didn't initially. When I first saw the story, I thought, no, Kyrie's just being Kyrie again. But then when I thought about it a little bit more, and I was thinking, well, he is right, because when all the sports at the end of the day, as even Kendrick Perkins and Skip Bayless has said, you're paid to provide people with a distraction from their everyday lives.
Yeah.
That is what, at the end of the day, the NBA is going to provide. And what these players, or what some people in the NBA are fighting for right now, shouldn't be distracted from.
Yeah.
What's interesting,
It's more important than basketball.
Yeah, and I'm kind of disappointed in Adam Silver. So, like, in terms of he continues to push the whole narrative that no, the season is going, and saying, yeah,
I can't blame Adam Silver.
He's saying, the players are free to not play, but we're playing. Like,
Well,
but the
that's the
season's
thing,
going
though,
ahead,
because-
though.
look, so much commercial interest. Like,
Exactly. There's
it's
so much money in
very
the
difficult.
NBA. I can't fault the commissioner for.
He's
Yeah.
managing 30 of the richest people in America.
Yeah, but exactly. That's the whole
as
problem.
well as
money.
millionaires who are in the
Exactly.
NBA.
That's the whole
It is
problem.
interesting, the idea of that's a distraction, because like the idea of sports being a distraction is actually like a well-used propaganda tool as well to keep masses from looking at or focusing on
Other issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
It's been done like that in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's really interesting point.
So yeah, I'm after doing a bit more thinking. Yeah, I'm with Kyrie. I don't think that the league.
I never
I
thought
think
I
so.
would
Go
see the
ahead.
day.
Look, at the end of the day, I will say that, look, there's two things I want to finish on this. Kyrie Irving, he is a superstar in the league, and so he's using his platform in the right way to speak up, because there's a lot of players who have started agreeing with him and saying, like, look,
And not just that, I think
lot,
Kyrie is speaking up for the players that don't want to speak
They're
up.
afraid
exactly.
to. Yeah, I agree.
But
Well, they don't want to be the one to have to do
Exactly.
it. There seems like it probably is a lot easier to be like, yeah, I agree with him, as opposed to being the first guy.
Oh, absolutely.
out,
Because you could be the only one standing up there, and your sponsors could be like,
Yeah.
"It's done, mate."
Yeah. So
But then Kyrie Irving is a superstar.
That's the other
And-
thing. He's got that little bit of like brand loyalty. on
Yeah,
his-
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, he's got the
His
platform.
fans.
Yeah, he's got the
if-
platform.
If whoever's sponsoring him gets rid of him,
Nike's fully on the bandwagon.
Like,
they're not going to drop him. He's got a signature shoe, man.
well, that's like it is
Yeah.
with Nike.
No, like it's a bit different between like there's been heaps of players that have come out and obviously said like they're with Kyrie, but like it's a bit different if Kyrie comes out and says it as opposed to someone like George Hill who's come out and said, you know, like I fully agree with Kyrie. I think that's why it is really good that he has done it. I think good on him.
Is that I feel like Kyrie, as well as good as it is that he is speaking up, he also doesn't know how to say what he wants to say and finish with it.
Yeah, we've talked about this at length
Because
before.
if he had said, first of all, whoever is talking about like telling Shams about these group chats is a snitch.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
But-
facts.
Like if he just said,
We're looking at you, LeBron James.
Hey, nah, come on. Mr. Raymond would never. It's probably Kendrick Perkins.
You reckon?
if he just said, look,
That's facts.
if he said like
AP.
something like just look, the NBA is a distraction from what we really need to be focused on right now. That's enough. But then he's saying something fishy is going on, and people start immediately thinking, "Oh, conspiracy theorist Kyrie," and then they're not going to listen to him.
Yeah, exactly. Kyrie, he really should have just said, well, this is coming from someone who's not part of the situation. But then what I think Kyrie should have said is, I agree. He should have just laid out his points, finished off of that, instead of kind of bringing in the conspiracy angle into it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We've said this before though, like what we said when he was about changing how he needed to speak once he'd moved to New York.
Yeah, he hasn't done
And
that. He hasn't done that. If anything, it's gone worse.
The first step is acceptance.
that's right. But yeah.
All right. So at this point,
Anyways, to conclude, Kendrick Perkins is a fool.
Yeah, and it's the most one-sided beef I've ever seen. Like, this dude is just calling him out every
It
single
reminds
day.
me a lot of
tries
just
to-
the rent-free. Like KD, Kyrie, and these boys, they say nothing, and Perkins just keeps going at him. Like,
Yeah, he's just, and as a Celtics fan, I am so sorry for all of you that have had to suffer our former players becoming NBA analysts.
I'm sure
With
our
Paul Pierce on the airwaves,
Oh, boy.
Kendrick Perkins,
by the way,
KG.
at some point we have to do a full
I am
review.
sorry, guys.
At some point we have to do a full
boy.
review of Game of Zones because that finale was.
Oh yes, yeah, we do.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I need
anyway,
to.
I rated it. I thought it was really good.
We will take a short break here.
Hold on, I got something more to
Oh,
say. I
sorry,
was
yeah.
going to say,
Sorry, yeah.
Kaz, whilst you were giving apologies out for your team's now analysts, your former team players
Analysts
that are now analysts. Yeah,
And thank you for doing so.
yeah, thank you for doing so. I would also really like it if you could give a formal apology to one of our former guests, young Toma, for the actions of one Kendrick Perkins, which ultimately caused Jimmy H to not re-sign for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which ultimately led to Oklahoma City Thunder not winning not one but 6 consecutive rings.
I can't apologize for that because by OKC, if they did re-sign James Harden, can you imagine the effect on the Houston strip club economy?
That's fair.
That's fair.
No arguments.
Okay.
All right,
Money multiplier,
I'm
bro.
happy to take that. I'll wear that.
All right, yeah, we'll take
I'm
a
not
quick break
apologizing
here, and
for
then
that.
we're going to jump right.
Stimulated the economy.
Best thing Kendrick Perkins has ever done.
We are going to jump into Pyongyang.
Much stimulation.
All right, and we are back. And fortunately for you all, we have some trivia from our editor, young Jacob.
Yeah. Can you hear that in the background? What's that? Is that the glorious nation of North Korea's anthem? It may just be. Who's ready to play some North Korea before we get into the big bang that happened
right.
in Pyongyang?
So for you guys, that is what Jacob is talking about is the doco from Dennis Rodman heading over there and
was very
orchestrating a
entertaining.
game. We just watched it before. It was very entertaining. So we will we'll be discussing that shortly. Highly recommend you watch it. It was intriguing.
I have here no less and no more than 6 questions
Oh,
about the glorious nation.
We're getting all of these wrong.
All right. So the first one: who are the 3 Kims, and who is the current true leader?
Kim Jong
Kim
Un.
Jong Un,
He's the leader.
Sister.
Kim Jong Il,
Kim
his
Jong-il?
Bruh. His
Oh, that
sibling.
It was Kim Il-jong.
Kim. They went over it in the documentary.
yeah, breathe
was it Kim
very
Il-jung?
fast.
Is this?
Kim Jong's son.
There's Kim Jong. So there is
This is
Il
Yeah.
and Sung.
Yeah, that's what I just
you
said.
guys got them all. 3 out of 3.
Pardon,
Yeah.
pardon. However, who is the true leader?
His
It's
sister.
son, isn't it?
Is Sung.
Yeah.
Yep. This makes
Oh,
North
okay.
Korea the only neurocracy.
Okay,
So the leader is dead. That's what that means,
I see.
right? Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Next one. What is the favorite cold remedy for the people of North Korea?
Meth.
Yes, it is meth. Meth is apparently an incredibly normal part of life in North Korea. It's also used by students who need a little bit more pep when studying. You know those type things. You get a cup of coffee, doesn't cut it. Just
Hey, to be fair,
Thank goodness we have video now.
to be fair, Donald Trump's abuse.
I don't know how to do meth. I
Only
don't
a
think
little.
it's that.
Hey, boys. To be fair, our favorite president of the United States does like to use a meth precursor quite often.
Oh, you get
Also, he suggests injecting hand sanitizer into your body. So we're
But we won't be
that.
discussing that.
You get that on the big jobs. Moving forward. Okay, so North Korea took a shipment of 1,000 cars they never paid for. This build today, which includes other heavy industry equipment from the same company, is worth 379.6 million USD. What car company was fucking stooged?
Wait, could you repeat that? I got a bit confused.
Was it an
Like,
American
you
car
said what?
company?
No, it was not an American car company.
Volkswagen.
It was European.
So not German. Wait, hold up. Was it okay? Is it Italian?
No.
Oh yeah, I was gonna guess.
Okay, so there's Germany and Italy off the board, the two biggest
European.
Yeah.
European car manufacturers.
I mean, there are some pretty notable ones that aren't in that country. Very notable.
why am I?
I'm getting
why am
a
I
list
blanking? You got any ideas? Nah, they're German.
Oh yes, it says in German. Oh, okay. There's only so many left then.
Bruh, are you Googling it?
I'm just googling car brands
car
from
brands.
Europe.
Car
From
brands.
Europe.
I
Make
guarantee
life
you there's
easier.
not really that many there.
Yeah, no, there's not that many left. That's why I kind of
when
don't
you
want to
say,
answer. Yeah.
Germany and Italy.
Yeah.
It's not one of them.
So it's from Britain.
No. No, it's not from Britain.
Persia?
Who out no?
Is it from France?
Who else is weird that isn't the French?
Who else is weird that isn't
the French?
The Belgians?
No.
Yeah, because I was thinking it can't be the
They make
Belgian cars.
okay, this country made a lot of pop stars. Or a lot of pop music, especially during the 70s.
Russia?
No.
Czech Republic?
No.
Yugoslavia. I don't know.
No. Northern Europe. We'll give the
I am
Century on it.
Scandinavian?
geography already.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is it from Denmark?
No.
Scandinavian Skoda is Indian though, isn't it?
Sweden?
Yeah, Sweden.
A Swedish car? What's a Swedish car manufacturer?
Bro, I am not with car people, clearly.
Hold up. It's
No, you are not.
No, I'm not. I'm so sorry for everybody playing at home.
Volvo.
Yeah,
final
there we go.
answer.
Volvo.
Goodness.
Yep. They really fucked them over.
300 million USD worth. What? And Sweden are just happy to stay home.
Yeah, apparently they have a they're one of the only countries that have an embassy there. Or some sort of like
A North
diplomatic,
Korean
like, official
embassy?
diplomatic.
Hey,
there.
that's worth 300 million.
Yeah. And apparently the Americans are really happy with it because that keeps because the Swedish apparently are really good at doing that sort of stuff. But the
Yes.
Americans just like, oh, there's oil.
Guns, freedom.
All right.
Yes.
Next one. North Korea is home to the world's largest what? Now, we were just watching a sporting event.
I
so-
know.
Statue?
No, it's going to be the ice, the snow.
No. We were watching basketball. Where's basketball played?
Stadium.
Yeah, stadium.
Was it the one they built for the game?
I don't think it was that one.
Oh,
So it is called I'm going to butcher this, the Rangrado 1st of May Stadium,
Brother.
which has a capacity of 150,000.
Wow.
Yep.
who reported the capacity?
I think you can watch it. There's a
The
couple of
same guy who
documentaries, like,
reported Kimmy's 700 knot.
when Vice wasn't complete rubbish, I think there was a really good one where they actually went to North Korea and you get to see it. It was pretty spectacular. Yeah.
150K is huge.
Yeah.
Is that an indoor stadium?
Yes, it's indoor.
I
actually think that the top might open as well. It's like
Yeah,
a
it would
wave,
have
they've
to.
got it set
Hey,
up.
we need to get the current president of the United States to do a rally in there.
Sell out.
Okay,
Million people.
so during the 2010 World Cup, who did North Korea manage to score a goal against?
Wait, sorry. Repeat the question.
In the 2010 World Cup, like soccer,
Yeah. No.
who did North Korea score a goal
I was
against?
watching this game. How can I not remember? Oh my
and
god.
bonus,
I remember
bonus
this
points.
happening,
Yeah,
but I
same.
don't remember.
Bonus points if
what.
you know the score.
Oh boy, it would have been a
8-1.
ragging.
No.
I'm gonna guess like
Oh, I should know this.
It's a very typical soccer score. If that
Think of
helps.
a team
1-0.
two.
No, it wouldn't have been 1-0.
They would have
No,
lost.
they
They
lost,
would have
sir.
lost.
They lost. Yeah,
was
they
it
lost.
was it 2-1 or 3-1?
It's 2-1.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But who's not that good that they only beat North Korea?
I think you might be surprised.
Or what?
Brazil.
It's going to be like
Nah.
It's Brazil. It's Brazil.
All right.
They managed to score a goal.
I'm a head out.
Yeah, still
I
lost.
was watching this game because I remember North Korea scoring a goal and my dad was just like, what?
What just happened?
Alrighty. And last question. If you want to move to the glorious nation of North Korea, you can do so, but it will cost you. Who can guess the closest amount without
boy.
going over?
In what currency?
USD.
Of course.
100,000.
No. Lower. Way lower. Way lower.
Okay.
50,000.
No, you get one
Lower.
guess. You get one
Oh,
guess.
we'll go around. Shut the fuck up.
All right. $750.
Higher.
Oh, okay. Brady.
You said 100K.
Yeah.
You said 750. Just,
It's big range.
It's not hard, Brady. Come on.
I'm going to say 10K.
Lower,
Holy
but close.
Oh, all right. Kaz, it's your turn.
9,000.
Lower.
You're just going to,
6.5.
Higher.
Shit.
7.5.
Higher.
What?
8.25.
Lower. Fuck's sake.
8K.
Yeah, it's 8K.
Yes.
This is actually a price increase.
Oh.
Kim Il Sung, or Sung or Il, we're charging way less apparently. They're
Oh.
charging like closer to $1,000.
Damn.
Yep.
Did they jack up the prices after Donald called Kim Jong-un a little rocket
Well,
man?
I think Kim Jong Un really, I think I should have put that in there too. Kim Jong Un really likes this particular kind of like cream cheese, and it's the reason
Yeah,
why
he
he got
does.
so fat.
How good is
He
cream?
does. It's very funny.
And I'm pretty sure that's probably the reason why is just to fuel his habit.
It's very funny.
I mean, at least that would make sense to me. Alrighty.
Is that
Alright.
4 questions? Are we
He spends
Yep,
like
that's
millions
it.
of dollars
Oh,
importing
nice.
cheese.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can jump right into this documentary, guys. Yeah, we just watched a documentary called Dennis Rodman's Big Bang in Pyongyang, and like I said, we don't have any. I have notes because I always have notes, but it's pretty much off the knob, as Tom would say. So same as last time. Do you guys have? He says that word very often. He says this phrase very often.
That doesn't mean you need to say it.
It's off the top, not off
Off
the
the
knob.
knob.
Or he
yeah.
says, oh,
Because otherwise we're flicking the tip.
Brad's just had a revelation. He just gave me the eyes for like that. Oh, that must be what it is.
Just the tip.
Yep.
Just the tip.
Shit.
All right, sorry, Brady.
Classic
Continue.
Brady. Avery Bradley's first team all day, Cass. I love it. Oh,
it's
Brady.
better than Anthony Davis.
Ah!
Well, look, would you rather take a B plus or a D plus?
Oh, boy.
Yes. Sorry, Brad.
AD
Continue.
over
Continue.
AD.
Continue. Straight off the
Yeah.
Top.
Anyway,
top.
Okay. So just the same as last time we looked over any kind of documentary. Do you guys have any general thoughts you want to add before we jump into the episode?
So,
Shout
I think-
out, Chris.
I think Dennis Rodman is much more of a mess than I expected, and that's saying a lot just from
Yeah.
watching this documentary.
I wanted to say quickly, the first time I was ever exposed to Dennis Rodman was, I think, on Pimp My Ride, and he had a Lamborghini Gallardo, and his face was painted on it.
That's amazing.
Incredible detail, and he was like, he was yelling, and there was flames coming off the back of his head.
I like it.
Yeah, but then it's Dennis Rodman.
It is
Like,
Dennis.
It is his Dennis Rodman.
The most interesting man in the world, really.
Yes.
Honestly, yeah.
Like you find out one day that he's married himself. The next day you find out he has a Lamborghini Gallardo, but he also wears.
That's not that surprising.
But
The
then,
next day he's going to WWE Raw Monday night, and then Wednesday night he's playing an NBA Finals game. Yes.
yeah. So Karan, same question as last time again. How does it is a sports documentary at the end of the day? It's barely a sports documentary.
Barely a documentary, yeah. More of a mockumentary.
I think
All right. So I think the documentary really, I think the interesting thing about the documentary is not so much the basketball game, at least from my perspective. It was more about Dennis Rodman. I think it functions better if you look at it as a character study of Dennis Rodman.
Okay.
Yeah, and also like the fact that they just expected this man to do all the diplomatic work.
No, I don't
for
think
them.
they expect any. I don't think they
know.
expected anything from Dennis Rodman. I think Dennis Rodman just saw this as an opportunity to just do something.
Yeah, but also Paddy Power.
We'll get to that eventually.
I think they might have been like, "Ooh, yeah, it's time to make some money." I think that.
Yeah, exactly. They would have just seen this as a cash cow.
Yeah.
So what I think this really told me about Dennis Rodman is that, okay, one, he's got some serious problems that he still hasn't sorted out yet. But then two, he really is trying to help.
Yeah,
it was an honest attempt to help at improving the relations between the two.
He doesn't know how to say things in a concise manner.
He's Kyrie Irving
Yeah.
from the 80s.
Basically,
No, he's much more crazy.
He's
much more crazy.
In terms of speaking.
yeah. He like you saw even there was a part in the documentary where he's in a interview with an interviewer. Who would have thought? And the discussion is, what they're doing in Pyongyang, and Charles Smith is amazingly handling the interview, but at the end, the interviewer does bait Dennis Rodman, and you see it's an honest attempt at just like him trying to come here and do this thing and try to open the door a little bit.
Yeah,
that really was his intention.
yeah.
But
From going to, and it's apparent as well.
It's really dirty as well, considering like that was a CNN, right? So they're not a small news network, right? They probably would have understood that Rodman isn't exactly the most articulate speaker in the world.
yeah,
Also like apparently his history of alcohol is quite well known, right? And he's stress drinking. Like they played dirty.
yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
not- that was not fair. That
It
was.
And I think that the point that you mentioned, his alcoholism, I think that is probably an underrated aspect of the documentary. Like, it just shows how much pressure they put on this guy. Like, everyone, the media.
Yeah, it just was the wrong person to put all that pressure on.
Exactly right.
I mean, he was probably just thinking like, wouldn't this be a mad fun thing to do for my mate Kim?
Yeah,
Like, and then it ends up as like, oh, you have to save Kenneth Bay. You have to, solve the issues of their leadership and their cruel dictatorship.
yeah, it's like they expected they expected Dennis Rodman to solve geopolitical conflicts when that's really not what he's there for.
I mean, he did basketball for a living, right? And then he's had a well-known history of mental health issues. And you're just like, oh yeah, can you go in and sort everything else out while you're there?
I don't think that's what they were saying. I think that they were giving him. I think they were.
It seemed that like the public was expecting that of him.
I don't think the people actually expected Dennis Rodman to solve these conflicts. I think that they thought that he wasn't being mindful of these conflicts when he went in and just decided to play a basketball game in North Korea. As a present to a dictator.
No, you saw with the other players as well. Like no one when like the young Dunker or any of the other guys went there as well. They weren't thinking of any kind of geopolitical situation. They were also thinking this is a fun thing to do. Like you saw Vo as well. Like these people are just normal people.
They're just basketball players, man.
Like, and I'm sure anyone else, your everyday Joe as well, wouldn't think, oh, I'm going to North Korea. I have to solve all the issues. They're just thinking, I'm going to North Korea. Like. It's Dennis Rodman as well. And like you said, everyone knows his history and who he is.
Yeah. No, and he said from the outset he was only going over there to be the person who starts to build the bridge. Like, he never said that they were going over the bridge. He just said we're going over there to try and make a connection. We just want to open the door a little bit more, as he said. Yeah. And I think, and I was really glad that Charles Smith stuck up for him that.
If Charles, Smith
I think this was just a documentary on Charles Smith.
Charles Smith was a real hero of the show.
Showcasing leadership
together, like that was some incredible stuff. Yeah, honestly,
from the get go, the man was trying to say they are vultures. They want to get something from us, and it's our job to make sure.
And he was right.
And
he knew his stuff, and like. Who knows how it would have turned out if
without
Charlie
Charles.
wasn't
They wouldn't have played. I don't think we saw that.
Yeah, I don't
saw
think
the whole background.
Dennis Rodman's not, especially with how the amount of stress he eventually started to put on, which is a major part of it. Eventually, you can say that the narrative that caused the amount of stress on him is, as we saw at the end of the documentary, one of the reasons that relations in the situation in North Korea hasn't improved.
Yeah,
because if Dennis Rodman doesn't feel that kind of pressure, maybe he doesn't go to drink, and then if he doesn't drink, then obviously even if they have Charles Smith, that solves everything else. But like if he's not drinking and he's not going crazy, then maybe America starts thinking that, and North Korea starts thinking that they can improve relations from there.
I think you touched on an important point. I think it kind of shows the tragedy of, I think, the whole situation was that Dennis Rodman's alcoholism at the end of the day was kind of what prevented him from really reaching his goal of actually improving North Korean and USA relations.
And you could tell he was hurt by that too.
Yeah, because
he was legitimate emotion.
He really had an opportunity to meet with Kim Jong-un, spend some time with him, understand where he was coming from, and then possibly relay what happened back to the US.
Yeah.
But since he got too trashed to actually do anything about it, to act appropriately, Kim Jong-un just didn't show up, and then Dennis had to go back without ever getting to spend that one-on-one time with Kim Jong-un. And I think it's very human.
Yeah, was very human.
It's very human, but then it's just sad because Dennis really could have done some good.
Yeah.
But then he didn't end up doing it because
I think we got to remember that at the end of the day, it was essentially him going by himself, basically, to be the one to, essentially get a whole country to sort of turn their head more towards the obviously making connections with America. And I just think that, like, imagine if this was orchestrated like by something bigger, if it's not just Vice calling up Dennis's manager and then somehow getting an email from some scientist who goes to North Korea every year. Like, I think just if it was like, obviously it'd be really difficult for it to have happened in a better way. But obviously if it was orchestrated better, then there probably would have been someone, like more people in general, to sort of help Dennis sort of in terms
actually achieve his goal.
I think.
I mean, and it's not the first time that a sports event would be used to sort of bring
people together. Yeah.
I mean, like the Olympics is a great example of that. Even from the worst of times, in the with the German Olympics, 1940, whatever it was.
I mean, they threw a javelin at Hitler. Yeah.
But like that, the point being is like, there is a lot of diplomacy that actually goes into international sport, and this was a huge opportunity that really,
unfortunately,
it seemed that the American public really fucked it for themselves.
Yes. I think the best way I can summarize the whole thing is this wouldn't have even been a possibility if it wasn't for Dennis Rodman. If it was anyone else, I don't think that this would have even gotten off the ground.
Would anyone have been like crazy enough to like, no problem, I got it.
But then, they couldn't get it over the line because it was Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone with some cachet really took this seriously, we probably could have actually achieved or have made some ground towards achieving that goal.
And if Charles Smith had been there from the very start, right? It could have been a lot different.
Forget Charles Smith, like an actual US diplomat.
Well, yeah.
I will say, and that's this is one place that we do need to mention, the Dennis Rodman's bro Vo. He did jack shit.
He was an enabler.
What do you expect from Vo? He didn't do anything.
What do you expect?
We did. He got the towel and he's wiping down his fucking head.
Any of you guys watch Entourage?
No,
I've seen a bit of it.
Yeah, Vo's like Turtle.
Yes,
he's just what do you expect from him?
At the very least, like, hey, like suddenly you might think to yourself, "Whoa, we're in a foreign country where we've heard some bad things." Okay, yeah, he's Dennis Rodman, but at the same time, it might be helpful for him to not be drunk off his head the entire time.
I mean, are you his friend or are you just sponging money off the man?
Yeah, it is really sad because the reason he went so off the rails was because Dennis couldn't hold himself together.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like we don't really know because probably I would imagine that Paddy Power had a lot to do with like the editing of the documentary, but it would seem that Vo didn't really do a whole lot to help.
Hey, to be fair, if an Irishman is telling you you're drinking too much,
you're drinking too much.
That's fair.
But you saw how uncomfortable everybody was when, like, it wasn't even the worst one. When he was just like being loud and noisy and having a good time, everybody's just like, this idiot, right? And then he starts yelling at that Irish journalist who wanted to write a book. Everybody's like, what the fuck do we do now?
But that isn't the place to get drunk and rowdy, though. Let's be honest.
No, but yet again, it is this.
He needed someone around him to really stop his.
Yeah, Vo was not that person.
Yeah.
Really was not. He's just a yes man and an enabler, and he's a bit of a money sponge.
Yeah.
He's gonna come fucking kill me now.
I mean, I think it's a bit hard to judge Vo based off a 1.5 hour documentary where he features for a whole total of 10 scenes.
But that's
maybe.
it. But isn't that the? It's. You could say like, is that just? It depends how you frame it, isn't it? You could be like, was that the best 10 seconds, or was it the worst 10 seconds?
Yeah, probably the worst.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you
Or was that honestly the entire 10 seconds that he had?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I retract my statements. Vo, you may not. Hey.
You're a good dude.
You're a lot bigger than me, so I will say that you're maybe not a money sponge.
Hey, and if he's still friends with Dennis Rodman, I mean...
But if you really want to clear your name up, you might want to get that footage. Just saying.
Hey, I mean, based on the reviews and all that, I don't think too many people actually watched it, so I think Vo is fine.
Honestly, yeah. When you say not many people watched it, we will get into the game a bit later, but I haven't seen, like, people keep on saying the score, the game was never televised. Okay, but I haven't even seen people actually report the score. We found out the final score in that documentary, but I've checked up reports in the last year, and no one's said anything about what the result of the game was.
Yeah, so I don't think too many people actually watch this because they do show you the score of the game.
Yeah. It's like a weird media blackout.
I was really confused because
It's a nonsensical media blackout. The score is public.
Like, once again, I thought that they kept on saying that, like, no one was allowed to record or televise the thing, but then we have this camera that's showing us the scoreboard, the plays, how the American team is playing, and everything.
This is not like a Jordan Crawford dunking on LeBron situation where Nike hid the tapes.
I've never seen that before. I wonder why.
This was more like Jason Tatum dunking on LeBron. The
I haven't
is
seen
there.
that either. Nah, just kidding. I watch it on an endless loop to get to sleep.
So, does this? We'll go very deep into the game in a bit, but I did want to ask you: do you see any potential for North Korean basketball going forward? No,
absolutely none.
Nothing at all.
None.
Bill, no, the same.
I'm fairly same. It's
because the problem is they're too far away from.
Yeah,
they're too politically and geographically isolated from the rest of the world.
They can't get anything from any other league.
They can't import the sort of talent or the coaching that all the other leagues have access to.
You don't see a possibility of something like Arvydas Sabonis where he escapes from his country or something almost?
Nah.
You would need that in like too many different areas, I think.
If you were an athlete in North Korea, you are probably one of the most watched people. There's no way you're defecting.
Yeah,
it's like
chance.
It's a similar situation to Cuba, except Cuba actually had a history of the sports that they've excelled in.
Yeah,
so they had excellent professional boxers, professional baseball players. North Korea doesn't really have that. They don't have that. They don't have the talent pipeline coming through. And they don't have the coaching.
Don't North Korea have the best test batsman in the world?
Oh, I mean that's a bit different to basketball though. That's cricket.
I had to do it. Okay. I think just mostly because, as Kaz said, their political standpoint over there will prevent them from, because you need for your sporting league to get better. It's very hard for that to happen naturally, especially when there's other leagues exist that are superior.
You need to allow the talent to cross pollinate.
Yeah, you need to get
based on their play that we did see, which was not much. What are your thoughts?
True.
What are your thoughts?
It's hard to know. We saw five.
There was lots of threes.
See, the problem is you saw the
shots going.
Not that. You saw the best players in the whole country take on 50-year-old washed NBA players.
Yes,
and it was still within 6 points.
That 360 dunk was pretty fucking sick.
And that was
they were not playing
the
seriously.
That was the guy from the EuroLeague,
and they weren't playing seriously. And it was still only like 6 points in the game.
Yeah.
Okay,
unless they're willing to open their borders to allow coaches and talent development staff to come through, and unless talent development staff actually want to go to North Korea.
I mean, the only other country that's really diplomatic with them is China. So maybe there could be like a North Korea-China game.
Well, CBA is not bad, so that's a fair point.
What did you guys think of Paddy Power's role in the entire situation.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot they were in it.
Yeah.
I
didn't
feel
do
like
anything.
we got the whole scene at the start. Like, oh, it was a perfect timing for Paddy Power to merge with
It
this
was
Dennis
quick
Rodman
product
thing.
placement. They just
Yeah.
like funded. We're like,
And
hey, we
then
we
we
funded
heard nothing.
We funded the trip. We funded
think-
the documentary, and now we're irrelevant for everything
we
else.
bounced.
So, or most fans of European sports like football would know that Paddy Power are a very large betting company, and they're quite famous for these sorts of viral marketing stunts.
Who's going to be the next Pope?
Yeah, like stuff like that. So then, yeah, I think this was another viral marketing attempt from Paddy Power.
Oh, absolutely.
Basically, an attempt at free publicity,
Yeah.
but they didn't really get it over the line here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No.
they-
I think
Just didn't
they.
pan out.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because if they were too obnoxious in the documentary.
I think so.
You know, it might have come off bad, but if they're just like, because I have not heard of Paddy Power before today, and now I have an opinion on Paddy Power, right? Like most other gambling,
Yeah, but then-
like most other gambling agencies, fucking disgusting.
But then you also Ryan low in shambles, but you also need to actually watch the documentary though.
Yeah.
Not many people have done that.
No.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I forgot they were in it.
Yeah,
Okay, well, what about the team themselves? Those are quite a. We didn't get to see too many personalities apart from basically Charles Smith, maybe a bit of Doug Christie in there. But apart from that, I don't think we really got to hear from any of them. But what did you guys think of the team that is brought? We
Charles Smith and Vin Baker are very intelligent individuals.
yeah, incredibly so.
Yeah, Charles Smith is a marketing exec, and that kind of shines through. And then Vin Baker is incredibly well spoken. You didn't hear too much from the other players.
I think what we did see from
Even
the
Cliff Robinson, I was expecting more from him.
Yeah,
Averaged
but
19 points per game.
I don't know, but I still feel like what we saw from the former NBA guys is how willing they were to teach.
Yeah.
Which is where the whole thing comes back to. If North Korea were willing to open up to the outside world, especially for the basketball sense for us talking about it today, that they could definitely
I think
definitely get somewhere.
I think again, Charles Smith, he's so well spoken, but he was saying at the end of that, at the CNN interview, that to us, basketball is not political, and so you can see that if it was just up to the players, they would want to spread the game as much as they can. I think they went there, they were teaching them, like, even when Charles Smith was showing him, don't jump like this, jump straight up and put it up there. It's like you see how much these guys are willing and eager to share their knowledge.
Yeah, and the byproduct of that is hopefully stronger and better diplomatic ties as well. I mean, that's an important thing as well, considering the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Where North Korea actually does have nuclear weapons. The efficacy of those weapons is questionable, but they are a nuclear country.
Yeah.
We should at least...
Yeah, but let's not
Try to
get
be on
into the
friendly terms
nuclear
with them.
debate because that could be a whole fucking podcast.
Yeah, exactly. That's something completely different.
Part 2 of the North Korean episodes.
Yeah.
But yes, no, I mean, just because a country's has nuclear weapons, it doesn't mean that you should be friendly with them.
Yeah.
But there is an incentive for global unity.
Yeah, there definitely is. And not to mention the humanitarian crisis,
in North Korea.
Slave labor, like just terrible conditions for the average person. I think when I was looking up those facts, like the average GDP per person was like a bit over $1,000 a year. It's not a lot.
A year.
Yeah.
But then what's the purchasing power?
No idea.
Yeah, that's
we
key.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's not enough information.
We're
yeah,
already using
that's the
words
other
too
thing. But
complicated for
still, like that's still a bit.
And then also the fact that they don't really leave the country
Yeah.
because of
Reasons of not being allowed
Issues,
to. Yeah.
problems. So then GDP is probably not the best measure for that. But then, they're definitely not in the best.
They're not high on the HDI index. Then, if you want to go by that,
No.
yeah,
That's a good. That's a more.
that's
accurate-
true.
That's pretty accurate.
HDI
DGA,
index.
CHI, I don't know.
Human Development Index.
Brady just mouthed it. I don't know half these words. I was like, fair
Gross
call.
domestic product.
Yeah.
Boys generally Asian.
How much do the country make and get rid of men? And then the second one is how happy is everybody?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what have you guys heard much about North Korean basketball rules?
No.
Okay,
Nada.
so when it comes to 3-point shooting, it's actually very impressive what they train their players to do, because the rules, I did know about the rules. I looked them up to remind myself, but I did remember some of them. And you can see how much their rules played into their play style
they
in
shoot.
the game. 3-pointers are worth 4 points if the ball doesn't touch the rim.
Oh,
That's sick.
That's actually cool.
that's nuts though.
Give me Klay Thompson.
Like
Kevin Durant.
You see, like when there were
that.
a lot of shots that they missed, but there was a lot of shots that any shot that they hit was a swish.
That's true.
It was pretty impressive.
Well, that's also the beauty of editing, Paddy. Yes.
Okay.
We also have a great editor who makes us seem mediocre.
Shaquille O'Neal would struggle so much there because a point is deducted for missed free throws.
Hold on. What about you said
Ooh.
you get extra point for making it swish? He could just go up and instead of dunking, place the ball.
3-pointer.
3-point swish.
I see. I see.
But
Aren't
here's
dunks
the
worth
fun
10 or something?
oh no, that's the thing. Slam dunks are worth 3 points.
How's Shaq going to be terrible? Average 45.
So does the 3 points stack for a swish?
Is it
Do you get the swish bonus even for dunks?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, but you have to, he said it had to be a 3.
Yeah, 3-pointers are worth 4.
But if a dunk's worth 3, Shaq's averaging 35.
Wait, so then if a dunk is worth 3 and a 3-pointer that hits the rim is also worth 3,
Shaq's averaging 35. That's all I'm saying.
LeBron James in shambles.
Here's probably
How much of the points that the USA team have when they had the professional dunker and he was just going ham
Yeah.
as well? Like how much of the points were his?
This is true. All 39 of them.
is the most impressive part of it, interesting part of it to me. And this is something that honestly the NBA should consider for the All-Star game. Field goals in the final 3 minutes of the game are worth 8 points.
No. I don't like that. I just
wild
don't.
card of an ending.
That's
Just
just
like
stupid.
everyone has to make buckets. If you don't make 2 in a row, you're down 16.
You're screwed.
I tell you what it does do, right? That's way better. Is it just makes it an absolute spectacle, right? Because then you go like everything is net, right? Or everything's a fucking dunk, right? Who doesn't want to see that,
That's fair.
right?
Wait,
Even
so
I want
then-
to see that.
So
Even
when
I'm
you
just like,
say
yeah, dunk
when you say
the
8
ball.
points, right? So when you say 8 points, so are the 3-pointers and the regular field goals worth the same amount?
I would think that it's like 1 extra point for a 3 without with a switch.
So 9 points for threes.
I'm guessing so.
What?
But only if you're good enough.
No, but then the additional value of a 3 is less because the dunk is also worth 8
the
points.
dunk's
Yeah.
worth the same. So the dunk's worth 9 though, because you get an extra point for the dunk.
Yeah,
So
true.
dunking's worth the same as it. So you get 9 points for a
True,
dunk in
true.
the final.
Awesome.
Man, Kaz
I
are just decoding the North Korean scoring system.
Like I said, and so like obviously, look, a lot of
I've
those
also concluded Chris Middleton would be the best player in the North Korean Basketball
Yes.
Association
guys, I
format.
think there was one player on that team on the North Korean team who was able to dunk.
Yeah, he threw.
We saw like one dunk and it happened in like 0.2 of a second. I was like, what?
Efficiency.
Yeah.
But like you can clearly see that like the 3-point shooting rule really helped a lot there.
That's true. Like a
So
4
maybe
point
that's-
line.
but
I
at
get
the
where you're
same
going.
time-
Like this could be like a 4 point line operation. or
At
something.
the
But then-
same time, those guys were missing point blank layups.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
It would be interesting to see like a
Because the layups
whole
only work
game
two.
unedited. Because what we saw was just like, it was movie editing.
Highlight reel. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was,
exactly.
it was, it
So
was.
like, what is the game like when there's no magic behind?
Can
the
you
scenes?
imagine the Houston Rockets playing North Korean basketball?
Bro, they would be down by 42 going into the 5 minutes and win by 112.
Yep.
Who doesn't love the comeback?
Daz Morey and his statisticians would just be like, okay, Mike, what you're gonna do is just play these guys for 40 minutes. Then we're just gonna put Russell, James, Eric, Tucken out there, and we'll win the game.
Dunks
Every
and
time.
You
threes.
need 5 players.
Just threes, 9 pointers.
I'll tell you what I reckon happened in that game 7.
What's that?
I reckon Daz accidentally put the wrong rules in his model.
Yes,
yeah,
I get what you mean.
Who doesn't love a comeback story? Like when you're watching a game and like the team is down and that fucking grab bag at the end, like the wild cards are down and it just fucking shot after shot.
You know
going
what?
ballistic.
It
Like,
just
let's be honest.
it reminds me of just like pissing around and then someone's just like, last goal wins. It's like,
And everybody
mate,
goes,
your team was
"Damn."
down by 200 just because you made one shot at the end doesn't mean you win.
But everybody's going ham and
Yeah.
it's probably the best basketball that you would see. for the how
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It makes defense so much more important, right? Like
Last minute defense,
if one person misses a shot and the next person hits it, it's a 10-point game is now a 2-point game.
It's a 18-point swing.
But what I do love about it is that it was the Marshall's decision. You know what I mean?
The Marshall.
It was Mr. Un's it was Mr. Un's decision as a basketball lover, and like sports fans all over the world be like, oh, it should be like this. And this man has the power to do it.
To go, well, you know what?
And honestly, everybody that disagrees with it is just fucking jealous.
Yes.
Please don't
I don't
kill me.
know, Pratty. Those point rules at the end are a bit whack.
A bit absurd.
I don't know if this game was played with those rules, but it was. Look, I will say that.
Can you imagine 2016-17 Isaiah Thomas with those rules?
I'm just thinking of players like that.
Yeah.
Like, Russell Westbrook, same.
Just again for Jacob here, Isaiah Thomas. He's an very undersized guard.
The man is as tall as
You.
Yeah.
In the
for NBA, that's
He's an
quite
NBA
Normal
small.
human short NBA.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was averaging 30 points per game in the 2016
16-17 NBA
Yeah.
season.
2016-17 season, and in basically that team
Was the
people-
third leading scorer.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And he was expected to, that team itself wasn't expected to do anything amazing.
Yeah.
But he basically somehow every single time in the fourth quarter, he would just come alive. He would have like, I don't know, like 12 points or 10 points through the first 3 quarters. And in the fourth, he would somehow shoot up to 30.
Yeah.
Every single time.
He averaged 10. It was like
he averaged like 9 or 10 points per
Yeah.
game
in the fourth
quarter.
Yeah.
That's when everyone's
Impressive.
tired and shit.
Yeah.
So.
And swings.
And he'd do it every time.
I can't
So
imagine.
can-
but that's
can you-
just one shot in the
So
North
that's 80
Korean
points in the fourth quarter.
No. 10's like what?
sorry.
Well, 5 makes. So
Yeah,
it's like
Was he
like
holding,
40.
Was
Yeah,
he
it's
holding back, or was he just
People
like
did-
had the best endurance?
People
out of everybody?
did
Nah,
suggest
he
that
just-
might have
he
been.
just
balling
came
out.
alive,
He's
man.
balling out. Yeah. Something else.
He's like, oh, I remember I had the plane now. That's right.
Can you imagine LeBron James in the finals versus the Golden State Warriors in the fourth quarter?
I'd rather not. Let's move on, guys.
Yeah, true. What about the 2018 one, Brad? He'd have negative points.
He'd miss free throws.
Yeah.
NP,
Yep.
as
NP.
the great Bill would say.
I'm still taking Shaq with most points per game there.
So I don't have many other questions regarding this. Do you guys have any other points you have?
No, I think we just saw like obviously it's not surprise.
I think
what's
it'll
required.
be interesting to test out the effects of potentially putting in a 4-point line in underage basketball past like maybe like under 14s or 15s.
I disagree.
to see what would happen.
Underage
yeah,
basketball?
yeah.
I
Like
disagree.
those kids barely have the strength to put it up. From
No, like 14, 15.
Kaz, just imagine what it's like playing with Prad now. And then imagine taking a 15-year-old Pratt and saying, hold on.
Hold on, no, you hold on a second. I am more accurate from the half court line than I am from the
This is
3-point
what I'm
line.
saying. This is what I'm saying.
Quran can prove that.
Imagine taking a 15-year-old Pratt and saying, well, you don't pass the ball anyway, but this line here is only worth 3. But if you move back 10 feet, this one's worth 4.
But you can ask Quran. I am more accurate from the half court line.
And just imagine.
It's like a Bill. It's like a 11 is greater than 10 type operation.
Yes. Yes.
That's
I'd pay to see it, actually. You've made a good point.
Maybe they should do a guinea pig league. You know what I mean? Like you just
Anything.
have like a bunch of people. You just go, all right, they're gonna do experimental rules,
Yes,
and we're gonna see.
We
what
already have
works.
that. They literally call it the G League.
Well, that's good.
Hey, Prad,
I'm glad
no,
it
but
exists.
I'm saying that it would be interesting. I don't think that they should actually do it. It'd be funny to see what would happen. Like maybe the kids would turn out to be really good shooters, or maybe everyone becomes LaMelo Ball.
Okay. All right. Since we might do more of these film session type episodes in the future, do you guys want to give this one a bit of a ranking, perhaps, or
Less than the last dance.
No.
But greater than.
if we can do something like that, then moving forward,
Okay,
we can have a
Out of
list
10? We're out of 10 it?
yeah.
All right, I'll put it this
So
way.
how about we can just say, is it below or above last dance, and then we can just keep putting
Yeah.
position.
And I think
Right.
it's worthwhile saying that it was more like a documentary rather than like a basketball documentary as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
So
get
that
it.
really plays into it.
I'll
They
say-
only really focused on the game like when it was time for the game,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
There was a lot of lead up. I
There's
guess
a lot
which
of
is-
personal relations.
yeah.
I'll say that for this, I very much wanted to have a documentary on Dennis Rodman's 48 Hours in Las Vegas.
I
This
think
is
that would be greater than or equal to The Last Stand.
That would
Yes.
be a pornography, but sure.
so that would probably be above this and The Last Dance. But since we only have this to substitute, I'd probably put it a little bit under The Last Dance.
I would say fairly under The Last Dance.
Nah. See, I think it was interesting to watch Mr. Rodman go about his business.
I agree, but
I think that like the music was very interesting in this.
They chose interesting, as the title said, energetic Korean pop music.
No, like you
That's
saw
the
in
subtitle
at the
said.
start, it was like when Dennis Rodman's in America.
Bill, I'm not being
the
serious. I
music
think
was-
this is much worse than The Last Dance.
When Dennis Rodman was in America, the music was upbeat, and it was at the start at least it was upbeat, and he's like Dennis Rodman, hell yeah. Then he goes to North Korea at the start, and it's a bit more solemn music, and then you saw how it reversed towards the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
When he's going back to Beijing, it's like Holy Night is playing. Sorry, Silent Night.
Silent Night is playing.
But
that
he
was
goes-
a weird
That was a
choice.
strange
I
transition.
know it was before Christmas, but that was a really
was
fucking
funny, man.
ham-fisted
It was
thing
funny.
to do.
Yep.
Like,
But then again, yeah, they tried to show that because when he goes back to North Korea, it's like, hell yeah, we're in North Korea, baby.
yeah.
What you need to understand here, though, is that it is an Irish gambling company that is producing this
I
documentary.
know they're not really known for the subtlety, but like,
Or
I would have
filmmaking.
fucking appreciated
Or
it.
filmmaking.
Or filmmaking. I mean, they went out. They had like their own fucking typeface and everything, right? They couldn't just like have picked more appropriate music, except for the last song.
Literally
except for the
anything
last
else.
song, which was an absolute banger.
it was funny. I will give you that.
I'm
theatrics
gonna
were
say,
good.
like, as a documentary alone,
Mm.
I'm gonna put it pretty close to The Last Dance. Similar to
I'll give it.
Saran.
No, I was taking the piss. I'm giving it
No.
like a 5 out of 10.
I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
I'll say it's below The Last Dance. There'll probably be a lot of things that come above it,
Mm.
but like it showed how there was the main character of it was Dennis Rodman. We saw his clear downfalls and how like how this whole thing negatively affected him. And it also showed, it served a very interesting purpose of shining a very different light on North Korea.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because until now, I feel like we only think
Oh, it was always in the background.
no, as in like Rocket Man, nuclear missiles, humanitarian crisis, and now it's also
Yeah.
hey, basketball is actually relevant there.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But then,
Yes.
and I also think
Great.
I gave it all 5 points because I thought it was an interesting character study of Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't that invested in like the game or anything like that.
I think as a documentary, I did not watch The Last Dance, so I can't really judge it against that. But as a documentary, as far as documentaries go, I think there was a lot of potential that wasn't seen. I do think that was probably a lot to do with the fact that it was filmed in North Korea. There's probably a lot of things they had to leave out on purpose that they may have want to put in.
And also filmed by or produced by an Irish gambler.
Yeah, who are known to be like lucky go, happy or whatever.
And also not known for filmmaking.
Yeah, that as well. But I think as documentaries go, they did show a lot of promise. It's unfortunate to me that they didn't get into the more nitty gritty. I
Yeah.
understand why they didn't do that. However, I'm still disappointed.
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, fair.
Yeah, probably about a 5. I do think it's kind of like a little interesting watch on a Sunday afternoon, like we did.
Yeah.
We got
Yep.
nothing else
Yeah,
on.
it wouldn't be a Tuesday evening
No,
operation.
But if it was like on telly, if it was just on SBS or something like that, like one of those channels, and you just like, you know what?
I'll give it a go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give it
so
a go.
for
And then you just go, at the end.
Yeah, you give it
the
a
uninitiated, SBS is like basically a sort of like an international channel for us.
Odd. It's like a hodgepodge of different bits and pieces.
Very interesting.
Inspector
Like
Rex.
you get everything from like, dude, they used to show Mad Men on SBS, which I fucking love.
Yeah, they showed heaps of stuff. Shameless, I think, was on there originally as well.
Vikings.
Skins, yeah.
Vikings shout out.
All right. Well, it's just
plugging
about time
SBS.
to wrap this up. They're not sponsoring us, so we don't talk about
That's
them.
what I'm saying.
No, but
Fucking sponsor us, you bastards.
what local news?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Hassan Minhaj. He had a very interesting piece on local news.
Yeah, all right. Enjoy the app, guys.
Take care, everyone. This was a bit of a long one, but
It was quite long.
All right.
All right. Well done.